Hello, Elizabeth. Dr. E. Carter here at the Elevate Your Value Virtual Summit. I hope you all are enjoying all the phenomenal speakers as they give you great information, share their stories, and give you the ability to elevate your value from wherever you are today to be able to go to your next. Now, today I have another awesome person that I'm going to interview. Peter P.C. Carter. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is a process excellent manager at Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. He is also an active ambassador for Liberty Mutual's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and the national co-chair of the LEDA, and LEDA stands for Liberty Employees of African Descent and Allies, that ERG. And this man is busy. He is the inaugural president of the Colorado chapter of NAIA. And NAIA is the National African American Insurance Association. He is a busy man and he ain't heavy. He's my brother. So I am excited to have you here with me on my summit. Thank you so much and welcome, PC.
Well, thank you, Dr. E, Dr. Carter, for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be able to assist you and assist your viewers, your followers in their journeys.
Thanks so much again. Awesome to have you with me here. Family love. So first, allow the audience to get to know a little bit about you.
So as you put in my introduction, Peter Carter is my formal name. I rebranded about 14 years ago. I just started signing my emails PC. People started calling me PC. So I started going by that. I always joke that in my company, if anybody says they spoke to Peter Carter, nobody will know who that is because everybody calls me PC. So I am a career marketer. So I do marketing to lots of high-tech companies as directors, VPs, transitioned over to insurance about 10 years ago. Worked through the ranks there, and just through my work in marketing, I transitioned over to project management, did that for 3 years, and now I'm what are called our process excellence manager. So I'm helping work on continuous improvement and process improvement initiatives throughout the company. So one of the things that I am passionate about is helping people, helping others, which is why I'm national co-chair for our Black ERG, and why I helped found this chapter in Colorado of NAIA, the National African American Insurance Association, which is devoted to recruiting, supporting, developing Black professionals, as well as educating folks in the Black and underserved communities on the importance of wealth management, insurance, and financial management in their daily lives.
Wow, that's great. Yes, love what you're doing with NAIA, being able to elevate African Americans in all the areas that we're not quite familiar with, not just insurance, talking about financial wealth. There's a movement now about generational wealth. So thank you so much for stepping up and taking the helm of that particular organization. So tell us a little bit about what has drawn you, again, to keep raising your hand and wanting to elevate others.
It's something that I've been doing for a long time. I really haven't thought about it. It's been part of what I've done. When I was in college, I used to tutor students at the nearby elementary school. I was a big brother. Coming to work, when I started my working life, I started doing some mentorship. I worked with some group that was a nonprofit that went to high schools. It's always been something that I felt I needed to do, I should do. People helped me along the way. I think some of it might have come from our background. Our mom and dad were very big into education. Our father was educated his entire life, principal, superintendent, now doing education consulting. And so I think just that giving back, helping, assisting is just something we grew up with. And so it's not even something that I'm proactive in doing it and I'm intentional, but it's not like I say, "Ooh, I got to go help somebody today." I just do it. and that's just how I am.
Yes, thank you. You're right. Our parents really instilled that servant leadership and always about being able to lend a hand to others. So tell me about a time as we move into being elevated. Tell me about a time when you weren't feeling valued and how did that make you feel?
Yeah. I've been a number of times. I think the biggest one that stands out to me is when I was early in my career. I worked on the phones within a software company, and my job was to take incoming phone calls from customers, potential customers who needed software. They had this huge thick book of software offerings. People would say, I have this platform, I have this system, I want that. And it was my job to help point them in the right direction, give them information. Or rather than just trying to rush them on the phone and that's not really digging in, I always used to ask them more questions because I didn't want them to get the wrong information and have to come back or to say, oh, this company is horrible because they pointed me in the wrong way and I didn't really get the service I needed. But because I took more time than anybody else, the manager at the time, who was a hardware manager, she used to always complain about, well, why are your stats up as high as everyone else's? Or why your phone calls taking so long? I'm telling her because I'm really trying to give the best service possible. But she didn't care about that. She only cared about her numbers. She only cared about the numbers for her team. She wasn't looking at developing her team, elevating them, giving them any kind of coaching. She was just kind of like just banging the hammer because, as you know, there are a lot of people who are good at their job, but horrible managers. And so that's, the feeling that she gave me in her having that kind of attitude was I didn't really feel like I was valued. I really didn't sometimes even want to go to work because I didn't want to have to deal with that environment. It was definitely very demotivating at that time. But luckily, though so much went by, the company did a reorg, so I was able to get out from underneath her and do something more meaningful and had a manager that was actually much more supportive and helped me, guide me on in my career and got me, along that path to where I am today.
Wow, thank you. I'm sure many of us in the audience have had that manager who was not a good manager, not a good leader, not a good motivator. So thank you for sharing that. So on the opposite end, tell us about an event or a conversation or an environment where you did feel valued.
Right. I think some of it starts with sort of creating your own value. And so I can't really I can point to many opportunities recently and in the past where I've been valued. But I think the biggest value recognition comes to me when I'm speaking with one of my mentees and telling everybody about some successes that they've had or the work that we've done and gotten them to the next level. Folks who have connected to other people who called back and said, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you do. Other people who know I'm doing things behind the scenes, reach out and say, hey, I know you're involved in this. So it's the recognition, those thank yous, those smiles, folks getting the development and coaching and advancement that they're looking for and me helping to do that. That's where I definitely feel the most value. I mean, I get value from my work. For example, I just changed jobs. And it's interesting that as I moved to my new role, a lot of people saying, oh, well, thanks for your work that you did previously. We're going to miss your voice. We're going to miss your enthusiasm and all those things. So that helped as well. But I think it mainly comes from the things I'm doing, not so much in my day job, but my broader job in my development and mentorship.
That's great. Thank you so much. And when you think about all that you do and being who you are, PC, how do you leverage that uniqueness? So what do people see in you that is different than anybody else that they know?
It's interesting. I think that uniqueness is something that people don't really recognize. They think they're just one of the pack, so to speak. And in certain cases, you can sort of build your own uniqueness. You can look for a niche that's out there and then figure out sort of what makes you tick, what's passionate to you. Not so much what you're good at, because a lot of times you're great at something, but it's not really your passion. It's taking your passion and then leveraging that or layering on top of, where's an opportunity, where can you help, where can you assist? And I think that helps to build out your uniqueness because you're making it your own. I know a lot of self-help books that are out there saying, hey, read this, do this, impart that technique. And people try to do that, but it's not genuine because it's not theirs. They're really trying to take someone else's formula and put it into themselves. You have to take your passion, take those things and mold them to have them really suit you and fit you. And I think that's where your uniqueness comes out. The things you do, follow up that you do. I think that's one thing that might be unique to me in certain respects. Not unique to me because a lot of people do it, but I've had people come to me and say, I see for you that connecting people is your superpower. And that has stuck with me because a number of people have said that to me. And I think that's what one of the things that brings out, that is part of my uniqueness, rather, that is my superpower, that I go out of my way to, if someone says, hey, I'm looking for this, or I need this kind of help. If I can't do it, I'm either 1 or 2 degrees from somebody who can, and I'm very happy to do that. And people recognize that and they appreciate that.
Love that. Love that. Love how you said we have to really create and mold our own uniqueness and not try to use someone else's formula in the same way that they did it. That is awesome. Awesome. So you mentioned you have a lot of mentees, people who love to talk to you, want to pick your brain. When people are coming to you for assistance, what is the main problem or the common problem you're hearing as people are struggling trying to elevate?
The biggest thing I see is people that are stuck. They've come into an organization, a lot of times our organization, they're very smart people. Some cases they have advanced degrees and they want to get into the company because it's a great company, great benefits to get their foot in the door. They go into the department in the area, undervalued, they figure they can rise up quickly based on their credentials and their work ethic, and they can't. They just get stuck. So they have MBAs, they have years of experience, they own their own businesses, and yet in our environment, they see really more of what you do here, and they forget about all the years of experience that you have in the past. So you would be better off in some cases coming externally than you are coming internally to try to be promoted and change your career. So most of the people that are in a rut, they are stuck. They don't know where to start. And so I just sit down with them and really figure out, for them, what's really important to them, what is their passion, taking all the work they're doing now, what are things that they like to do, what they don't like to do, what are they great at, what they want to learn, and then figure out who can I connect them with to help get them into the right spot. So if they're looking at an analyst role, who can I speak with, connect them with who wants to be an analyst, or if they want to go into talent or into training, and really start to facilitate some of those connections. And also put together a plan and say, okay, if you really want to get here, these are the skills that these managers are looking for. Let's set up a roadmap to figure out how to get you where you are. And it's not going to be an instant thing, because I know for my recent role, I looked for a number of months before I landed the right. And so it's also a matter of, it's a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So as much as you might be prepared and you think that you're going to get this role because you tick all the boxes, sometimes someone else tick the boxes a little bit more. Their circles are bigger than yours because they've been doing it a little longer. And don't get discouraged. So as I go along and help people try to navigate their careers and elevate themselves, I tell them, also try to give them hope and say, this has happened to me. Eventually, I got to the right spot. And in some cases, one of my mentees, I even joked that I mentored her so well that I mentored her out of the company, because we were working on trying to get her to a certain spot, and she was able to find something. So a recruiter reached out and we prepped her. We got her into another role in another company, more benefits, a much bigger salary, and she's been there for about 1.5 years now, and she's thrived. So the other thing I tell people, sometimes you got to cut bait. As much as our great company is, sometimes there are other companies that are better.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I think PC stands for personal connector. We'll have to rebrand that PC now, because that is what you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one interesting thing now that we are working from home, and I know you've been working from home before the pandemic, and I've been working from home since then. Do you see, and I feel that there are challenges now, especially with African Americans trying to elevate in the workplace, because we now are remote and feel somewhat removed. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because, as I mentioned, I was working from home before it became a thing, so at least 2 or 3 years before the pandemic hit. And I think definitely for us, especially in certain industries like insurance, for example, a lot of times you're the only one, you look at the only one that's in your department. And now you're working from home, you're the only one you're really working with, the only one you're seeing when you're on Zoom calls like this. You're the only round face if you're on camera at all. And so a lot of times with those offices closing down, you miss that interconnectedness. Walking by somebody, seeing somebody in the cafeteria, walking by them in the hall, being able to walk around a corner and poke your head and say, hey, Mark, hey, Susan, how you doing? How was life? How are the kids, etc. And you have to now be more intentional at making those connections. So there are some folks that I reach out to on a monthly basis. I actually calendar those in. We have like little 25-minute conversations. I say 25 minutes because I always schedule for our calls to start 5 minutes after either 8:35 or 8:05. That way, because people are running back-to-back meetings. And so I'm very intentional, making sure I'm making those connections and staying connected with people. And then I also am intentional in saying, okay, who are folks I don't know? And reach out to them. So since I'm the national co-chair for our Black ERG, I feel it's part of my responsibility to be a person that's out there that can speak and just say, hey, how are you? What are you doing? And is there any way that I can help? So I will just randomly, pick folks that I know who know our members, people who I've seen, people who have introduced me, and we also have a little network of Black people in our company. And I just randomly reach out to them and say, hey, I'm PC, if you don't know, I'm the national co-chair. Do you want to talk for like 5 or 10 minutes? And a lot of times, all the time, people will say, oh, yes, because I love to, because I'm either, the only one I'm speaking to, or I don't have anybody else I can connect with. And so, being intentional and making sure you're staying connected with folks, and even making sure you're staying connected with your personal networks outside of, I think a lot of times because we get stuck at work, we're on calls all day, we're on meetings all day. When we're done, we talk on the computer like, I don't want to talk to anybody anymore. I just want to sit here. I want to knit. I want to watch some Netflix, I want to, whatever it is. But I think you have to be intentional as well and reach out to those people who are important to you, your family members, your friends, just even if it's just like a quick 2-minute call and say, hey, how you doing? Because I think that one uplifts your soul, and it also helps other people that are on the other end of the phone or text or IM or whatever kind of communication method you're using.
That is great. You said a lot of great things there. First of all, that 5-minute piece on the timing of the meetings, whether it's 9:05, 9:35, you're right. Because even being home, sometimes I want to just run to the, down the hall to get something to drink, and I don't have time because one meeting ends at 9:30, another meeting starts at 9:30. So I appreciate you allowing that little bit of time to bio break even before the next meeting. So I appreciate your thought process on that. So in thinking about elevating our audience here, and you already provide a lot of great tips and tools that the audience can use, what's one more thing that our audience members could do today or tomorrow to be able to elevate their value?
I think the biggest thing people can do to elevate their value is to be accessible. Don't do it to the point where you're doing it so much that you're not leaving space for yourself, but take your passion, take your uniqueness, impart that. It's a gift, and share that with somebody else. One little tidbit, one little thing that might help somebody. You just even having an ear and letting somebody speak and vent or sharing, because sometimes people just speak and as they're talking, they can work things out. Just make yourself available. I think it's once again that whole servant leader attitude. And you don't necessarily need to be a leader to do this. You can be an individual contributor, you can be a friend, you can be a coworker. Just be somebody who is open to listening, who's going to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm going to make time for somebody else because it's important. And I think that's how you can elevate your value. So that people see that you're doing that, they feel you're valuable, and hopefully in turn, they also say, oh, Dr. E did that, PC did that, maybe I should do it for somebody else. And then they always will harken it back to say, oh, no, I just started doing that because so-and-so did that for me. And then that is what also helps to create your value and your brand. And I'm very big about brands. That's one thing I also talk about with my mentees is, your personal brand is very important. So you need to make sure you're protected and doing things along your day that support your brand, as well as you need to go check to see what your brand really is. Because sometimes what your brand you think it is not really what it is. So all those things put together, maintaining your brand, putting it out there, and being someone who can help others. I think that's what people can do to help elevate their value.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So PC, how can people get in contact with you, and what do you have going on next? There's so many activities you're involved in. What is something that you would love the support of the Elevate Your Value audience?
So the best way to get in contact with me will probably be through my work email, which is peter.carter@libertymutual.com. I'm on there every day. Unfortunately, when I say every day, I mean every day. Saturday and Sunday sometimes. That's the best way to reach me. The work I'm doing with Naya, we actually just did a meet and greet a couple of days ago because we're still brand new. We're going to bring in our insurance commissioner to do a fireside chat. I've been monitoring that in a couple of months. We're going to do some CE credits for folks. So everything I'm doing, I'm really keeping it local right now as far as NIA is concerned, as far as LEAD's concerned. We're actually going to start planning for next year. And Black History Month, although we're looking at February of 2023, and I can't believe I'm saying 2023 out loud, but we need to start planning that right now. So we're doing a lot of things within our Black Year's Year to start to get ready for next year. But I guess one thing you can do is if you are interested and available, the National Black MBA Association is having their conference coming up in the end of September. And you also have to be a Black MBA to attend. There's a lot of great sessions, a lot of great speakers, lots of networking, lots of companies. So if you're looking for opportunities, that's one place you should go. And that's going to be in Atlanta this year. I think it's September 27th. Look up so Anna and Nancy, B as in boy, Mary, boy, we'll put it in chat, but National Black MBA Association, their conference, look that up. And then also I'll be speaking at the NIA conference, National African American Insurance Conference in October as well. And that's going to be talking about recruitment. There's going to be some DEI sessions. That's also going to be a great conference and a great number of speakers that are going to be there along with me.
That is great. I know, PC, you're also on LinkedIn. You do a lot of activity there also. So Peter PC Carter also is on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow him there also. So Peter PC Carter, I appreciate you joining me on my summit and sharing these wonderful words with my audience, allowing them to understand how you've been elevating your value and the value of others. I thank you so much for joining me, and to my Elevate Your Value audience, once again, thank you for joining me and being part of this great interview. Hope you are enjoying the summit and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you again, and I will see you soon.
Thank you.